Gamer Nation.
2012 is finally over, and after a year of impressive high-profile releases, including the likes of Borderlands 2, Dishonored, Far Cry 3, and of course the Wii U, most publications are now taking the time to decide just what was the greatest game of 2012. We here at Gamer Nation, on the other hand, have decided that 2012 is so last year, and while everyone else is taking a look back, we've took out our patented gaming speculation orb in order to take a look into the weird and wonderful world of 2013 instead. So we hereby present to you our top 5 video game predictions for 2013. Obviously, everything we're about to say here is based on rumour and speculation alone, and for all we know, come January everyone could decide that board games are the new cool and abandon the video game industry altogether. With this in mind, take everything we're about to say with a pinch of salt, because even though we've done the research as it were, it doesn't mean we're right. Also, I've completely ignored anything technical because my voice is dull enough as it is without me droning on about processing power. So let's start the list. Number 5. Grand Theft Auto 5 will be Game of the Year. Alright, let's start with a simple one, shall we? Grand Theft Auto 5 is going to dominate the market this year. It's just common knowledge. Grand Theft Auto is one of gaming's biggest franchises, and even though yearly releases like Call of Duty have managed to trump the series in terms of sale figures, it's still a major part of our modern day culture. Everyone knows what it is, everyone's heard of it, and most of all, everyone's going to play it. I therefore predict that this year, Grand Theft Auto 5 will win more Game of the Year awards than any other game, including things like Bioshock Infinite. Why? Because I have faith in Rockstar North. This is a team that knows the console inside and out by the end of a generation, as was evident with GTA San Andreas on the PS2, and I have no doubt in my mind that Grand Theft Auto 5 will blow everything else out of the water when it's released next spring. It's just a shame they haven't confirmed a PC version yet really, although hold on to your hats because I also predict you'll see one by the end of the year. Did I just say hold on to your nets? Number 4. The fate of the PlayStation Vita will finally be revealed. The PlayStation Vita was finally released this February in the UK to a hooray from the 3 people who actually went out and bought one on release day. Alright, that's a bit extreme, but it has to be said that compared to Nintendo's arguably inferior handheld, the 3DS, Sony's PlayStation Vita has seen a disappointing first year. Its sales were low, decent exclusives for the system were few and far between, and even Sony themselves failed to announce anything spectacular for the console at this year's E3 in June, despite the console still being fresh in everyone's minds. Even the games that were announced at E3, high-profile exclusives that should have flung the system into the limelight, turned out to be nothing more than lacklustre cash-ins of famous franchises that clearly never needed a handheld version in the first place. So what does 2013 hold in store for the PlayStation Vita? Well, from the looks of it, not a lot, and I worry that Sony are going to have to pull the plug on their fancy new handheld, despite it being the most powerful system on the market. 2013 is, if you'll pardon the dramatisation, the year the PS Vita is put to trial. Will it surprise us all by becoming a must-have handheld, or will it simply be brushed under the carpet alongside the PlayStation Move? You see, the PlayStation Vita's fate lies in the games that will be released exclusively for the system next year, and for where I'm standing at the moment, we may as well start calling the funeral director now because it does not look good for the poor thing. Excluding console ports and HD re-releases, the system only really has a handful of exclusives on the horizon, and although some of them do look fantastic, such as Phantasy Star Online 2, there just aren't enough of them out there. In fact, the PS3 has around the same amount of exclusives being released next year as the Vita, and considering the PlayStation 3 is a dying console, that's not a good sign. So what's the problem? Well, in my humble opinion, the problem lies in the simple fact that the PlayStation Vita just isn't shifting enough units. As of June 2012, the PlayStation Vita has sold a measly 2.2 million units worldwide, whereas the 3DS has shifted a rather hefty 19 million units. Sure, the 3DS had an 11-month head start, but the simple fact is there's more 3DSs in circulation than there are PS Vitas, and if you were a publisher looking to make a safe investment, which console would you place a bet on? The one that sold 19 million units in just over a year, or the one that was outsold by its own predecessor in November 2012? Yeah, I thought as much. I hope the PlayStation Vita picks up this year, I really do. It's a powerful system with a lot of potential, it's just a shame no one else realises it. Either way, this is the year we find out. Number 3. The Wii U gets its first killer app. Hey, did you buy a Wii U? I did. It's great. It's got everything a next generation gamer will ever need. The gamepad is, well, genuinely fantastic. The HD graphics are smooth, crisp and colourful, and the games are... the games are primarily ports of PlayStation 3 games, to be honest with you. It's a shame really, since I bought my Wii U early this month, I've spent more time in the menus than I have playing actual games. The menus are shiny and new, filled with wonders and trinkets that I could never have dreamed of, whereas the games are all ports of titles I played last year on my PlayStation with a bit of gamepad functionality stuck onto them. Still, it's always the case with new consoles, isn't it? The first-party developers give us a bunch of shiny tech demos disguised as retail games, whilst third-party developers, unfamiliar with this weird and wonderful tech they've had sent to them far too late to do anything substantial with, resort to porting over games they released ages ago on inferior platforms and just try to touch them up a little bit. Unless of course you're Ubisoft, who seem to have a nasty habit of jumping on the Nintendo bandwagon earlier than anyone else and normally end up falling off before it's even set off on its journey. Take Zombie U for example, a game so full of innovative gamepad functionality that I almost sprained my neck having to look between the two screens so often. It's incredibly frustrating and manages to show off how revolutionary the gamepad is in the same way as being run over by an Audi shows off how fast it can go. Still, it has to be said the Wii U is thankfully a pretty good console, and although it won't be as powerful as its competitors when they finally arrive, it's still worth your time and effort. The problem is, there's just nothing to play on it yet. Never fear though, as 2013 will be the year the Wii U receives its first killer app, the game that finally convinces the everyday gamer to put down his Xbox controller and pick up his gamepad. But just what will this game be? Well, in terms of third-party support, it's pretty clear from the launch lineup that we're going to see at least 1 or 2 exclusives being released this year, especially from companies such as Ubisoft. With Rayman Legends coming to the Wii U as an exclusive in the first quarter of 2013, I wouldn't be surprised if Ubisoft had a few more secrets hidden up their sleeves for the console. In fact, I'm actually going to go out on a limb here and predict that the highly anticipated Beyond Good and Evil 2 may finally appear as an exclusive this year as well. Yes, it's a long shot, but the company have insisted for some time now that the game was being planned for a next generation release, and, well, does this footage look that next gen to you? No, exactly my point. The Wii U could be a perfect home for Ubisoft's most requested sequel, and I really hope I've told this one correctly, even though I don't really have that much evidence. In terms of first-party Nintendo exclusives, however, things get a little tricky. What with Pikmin 3 releasing early 2013, I'm curious as to whether Nintendo godfather Miyamoto will have had any time to work on another first-party system seller, such as Zelda or Mario. Now, it's pretty common knowledge that everyone is clamouring out for a HD Zelda, and whilst it's inevitable that the game will eventually be released on the Wii U, I'm afraid to say that it won't be coming this year. Just look at this timeline of every console Zelda game released since the GameCube era. Wind Waker was released in 2002, Twilight Princess was released in 2006, and Skyward Sword was released in 2011. That's a very clear 4 to 5 year development cycle between each game, which means that we shouldn't expect to see a new Zelda game until 2015 at the earliest. Sure, that may seem a long time off, but just remember that Skyward Sword was released little over a year ago. These games take time, and the last thing we want is for them to be rushed out the door. Oh, but I know what you're saying. But Liam, what about the HD Zelda footage we saw at E3 2011? Surely that proves a new game is in development? Well, yeah, of course it does. But remember the Zelda Space World demo that was shown off in 2000? Everyone thought that was an early demo for a next-gen Zelda game too. But then 2 years later we got Wind Waker, a game that couldn't be more different from that initial demo, unless Link was a woman and the game was set on the moon. But what about Mario, I hear you shout? Well, if we look only at the release timeline for unique 3D home console Mario titles, and not things like New Super Mario Bros. U, which I believe are made by a separate team, we see that Super Mario Sunshine was released in 2002, Mario Galaxy was released in 2007, and Mario Galaxy 2 was released in 2010. Now we can safely excuse the 3-year turnaround time between Galaxy 1 and Galaxy 2 because, well, they were built using the same engine, so obviously it didn't take as long to develop. And we can probably safely say that a fully fledged 3D Mario game also takes 5 years to develop, much like Zelda, which by this logic means we also won't see a new Mario game until 2015. But I think my own logic is a little flawed here. Personally, I have a feeling we'll see a new Mario game early 2014, and we'll certainly see an E3 reveal this year. Why? Well, it's simple. Mario's Nintendo's biggest, most accessible franchise. An E3 reveal this year, a mere 9 months after the console's initial launch, would give gamers faith that the Wii U is a must-have console. So what game do I predict will be released this year? Well, to the disappointment of some, I predict that the Wii U's biggest first-party exclusive this year will be Mario Kart. Why? Well, the game has a 2-year development cycle, which leads us nicely to 2013. Even if we strip out the handheld versions, which extends the development cycle to 5 years, the next game's predicted release date still lands on 2013. Also, a Mario Kart game makes sense. It'll show off the console's new functionality very nicely, and I wouldn't be surprised if they really pushed online functionality this time around as well. Personally, I'm just looking for a way to justify the fact that I dropped £400 on a console that doesn't have any games, and stop whispering Dreamcast 2 in my ear. Number 2. The PlayStation 4 will be announced, but will not be released. Oh, it's then it's slightly now. 2013 is the year of the bid reveals, it just has to be. Rumours are at fever pitch, analysts are screaming at the tops of their lungs that a new generation is coming, and most of all, gamers are now acutely aware that their once shiny consoles are now old, grey and quickly becoming obsolete. So I therefore predict that at this year's E3, Jack Tretton will take to the stage and announce the PlayStation 4 to be released March 2014. Yeah, I know, it seems stupid. Why would they keep their current generation going for yet another year? Well, it actually makes a little sense when you think about it. In some territories, the PS3 launched almost a year after the Xbox 360, and took much longer to stumble onto its feet than Microsoft's offering to the console market. With this in mind, it makes sense that Sony still haven't done everything they want with the system yet. They haven't had as much time in the limelight. I mean, just look at next year's release schedule. It stands as proof that Sony will keep supporting the PlayStation 3 throughout 2013. With games such as The Last of Us and Beyond Two Souls launching this year, I can safely predict that none of us will be unwrapping a shiny new PlayStation 4 next Christmas. Still, a new console will be revealed, and if internet rumours can be believed, and let's face it, they often can't, it seems fair to say that the PlayStation 4 will not be able to run games in a 4K resolution. It will, however, run games in 1080p 60 frames per second, as standard. It will offer game streaming with DAP, due to their recent acquisition of the company. It won't be backwards compatible with PlayStation 3 games, following on from the example Sony have led by dropping PlayStation 2 functionality from the PlayStation 3. And finally, it will drop PlayStation Move out of a window, because seriously, who actually plays with one? Come on now, be serious. I don't even think Jack Tretton has ever used one before, never mind the average PlayStation 3 owner. Still, I could be proven wrong by this in terms of a release date. Who knows, maybe Sony will want to be first to the market this time around. We'll just have to wait and see. Number 1. The Xbox 720 will be announced and then released. Yes, you heard that correctly. My top prediction for 2013 is that by December we'll have a brand new Xbox 360 sitting on the shelves. There's a lot of evidence backing this up, primarily because developers reportedly already have the dev kit sitting in their offices, but the main piece of evidence, for me anyway, is that you can see Microsoft slowly pulling the plug on the Xbox 360. Just look at their E3 conference last year. It was an incredibly dull and almost embarrassing chain of events that just didn't go anywhere. And whilst at the time we were all grumbling that Microsoft were focusing more on gesture-based applications and fitness apps rather than actual games, it seems pretty obvious now that Microsoft had no games to show because they're phasing out support for the Xbox 360. Whilst the PlayStation 3 has titles such as Beyond Two Souls and The Last of Us launching in 2013, Microsoft has Days of War Judgment, and I can't actually think of anything else from the top of my head. So the Xbox 720, it hopefully won't be called that, will be announced either at this year's E3 or, more likely, slightly earlier, and will be released probably in late November. The console itself will most certainly run games in 1080p at 60 frames per second, will have support for Kinect 2, will definitely have support for Smart Glass, and will no doubt have some kind of powerful link to Windows 8. That won't be limited to the fact that the 720 will undoubtedly have some kind of horrible Metro interface. I can't really say what games we'll see at launch, but I can assure you that we'll definitely see a little bit of next-gen Master Chief at this year's E3. So there we have it, my top 5 video game predictions for 2013. If you disagree with anything I've said, please feel free to leave a comment below and tell me what your predictions are for 2013 instead. I'd love to know, and we may even feature your comments in a future video. If you like the video, a like also wouldn't go amiss, but I won't bed because just whatever you want to do. For more news, reviews and previews, head on over to daemonnation.co.uk, and on behalf of everyone here at Daemonnation, I wish you all a happy new year and all of the best for 2013.